This is Joe Tillman, and this is part one of the Old Mission Immigrants. Why did Europeans immigrate to America? Why did I choose 1849? This is the year the first group of immigrants arrived in the Old Mission area. After 1859, immigration would greatly change due to the railroad's expansion across the United States. I would like to note that information about immigrants to Northeast Iowa wasn't easy to locate. Iowa settlers simply did not get the fame, such as those settlers who traveled on the Oregon Trail. Questions to be answered. Who immigrated to the Old Mission area? Why did people immigrate to the Old Mission area? How did they finance their journey? What routes did the immigrants follow? Before any of these can be answered, we need to examine why people left Europe for America. The European continent, push forces. This is a historian term. In other words, why people were leaving Europe. Military conscription. Compulsory military service was unpopular. Many young German men immigrated without proper permission to avoid military service. Estimates of over 50% of young men illegally immigrated. Military service was generally 2 to 4 years on the continent, but if you were lucky enough to live in Austria, it might be up to 6 years. Religious persecution. This doesn't appear to be a reason for the Old Mission immigrants, but it is always listed in immigration reasons. Poverty. Some towns paid poor people's passage to America in return for a promise never to return to their town. Food shortages. In Ireland between 1845 and 1852, the potato crops were small because of a blight on the potato plants. It was called the Great Hunger. The European continent also suffered from poor grain and potato harvest from 1845 to 1850. This is not as well known as the Irish potato problem. This era was called the Hungry Forties. The Westphalia German Kingdom had wheat and rye blights in 1847. Agricultural land was taken, expensive, or overworked. Inheritance laws varied on the continent. In some parts of Europe, the oldest son inherited the parents' farm. Most of Europe, however, had the family farm divided equally among the sons. Sorry, ladies. This situation, occurring over several generations, created farms that were too small to support a family. Therefore, men had to find an occupation to do from their home, such as making brooms. This work was called cottage industries. Overpopulation. By 1840, there hadn't been a major war on the European continent for almost 25 years. Conditions were such that the population was growing at a rapid rate. Marriage laws were enacted to slow down the population growth. Men couldn't marry until they were 26 to 28 years old. Women 23 to 24 years old. It varied from country to country. Some people simply left because of these laws. The Industrial Revolution caused the cottage industries previously mentioned to fail, as they could not compete with machines. This is especially true for the spinning and weaving cottage industries. The spring of nation revolutions of 1848. I will go to another slide to talk about this. Railroad and shipping companies actively recruited Europeans to immigrate to the USA. These companies would send agents. I would compare them to like college recruiters to different areas in Europe. They would put up posters. They would give talks. Some even provided maps and information for the Europeans who wished to leave. Here is a map of the Spring of Revolutions, 1848. Wherever you see a star, there was a revolt. In particular of note is in Prague, which is in the present-day Czech Republic. Because of the revolutions of 1848, the following. Factors for the revolts: a growing population, shortage of food, unemployment, inept monarchies. People wanted nation-states. The present-day country of Germany did not exist until 1871. It was made up of several smaller provinces known as states. There was political oppression. Results of these revolts. All revolts were unsuccessful. Political refugees became known as 48ers. Some came to the United States. Somehow, a person being called a 48er didn't make a lot of sense to us. However, in America, we had people who went to California in 1849 to find gold, and they became known as 49ers, and that name stuck. I simply don't understand why 48ers didn't stick. Serfs, people who were bound to work certain lands in the Austria-Hungary Empire, gained their freedom. This is especially important for the people who lived in the modern-day Czech Republic. What you have in front of you is the cover of a booklet published by the Iowa Board of Immigration in 1870. I tried to find immigrant posters used in Europe, but was unable to find any. This booklet had 96 pages. It was printed in English, 35,000 copies. 15,000 copies were printed in German. Norwegian had 6,000 copies, Swedish had 4,000 copies, and Dutch had 5,000 copies. I love the title, The Home for Immigrants. This is the cover of the same booklet in German. Here is the cover of the same booklet in Dutch. The following illustration appeared in an Iowa City Bohemian newspaper. On the left shows the life back in Bohemia. On the right, it shows life in Iowa. Quite a difference. The North American continent. Pull forces. Another historian term. Why people were coming to America. The hope for a better life for the immigrant. More importantly, most immigrants wanted their descendants to have a better life. Freedom from religious persecution. Career opportunities. Remember those cottage industries I talked about? Cheap land, and they could own it. Land in this time period, prices ranged from $1.25 an acre to $2.50 an acre. There was an abundance of food, avoidance of war, and letters from relatives who had immigrated to America. These letters sent back to the Europeans spoke glowingly of how great their lives were in America. In the 1840s, wages in the USA were 5 times higher than those in Europe. In conclusion, there were many reasons for Europeans to immigrate to America. Thank you for listening. Adieu.